The war between the Terran Federation and the Zanari Empire had been brutal. 2 years of endless bloodshed across shattered moons and hollowed-out asteroids. I was just a soldier then, a faceless marine in a rusting exosuit, fighting for a cause I barely understood. It was on the icy planet of Varlis 9 that I first met her. Our dropship had been shot down during a recon mission, crash-landing into a frozen canyon. My squad was gone, burned or scattered, and I was half dead, dragging myself through the storm with only a flickering thermal beacon for warmth. That's when I saw her. A strange, luminous figure buried beneath the snow. At first, I thought it was wreckage, a reflection of my dying mind. But as I brushed the frost away, I saw her face. Pale silver skin, faintly glowing veins under translucent flesh, and eyes that shimmered with violet light even though she was unconscious. An alien woman. Her armor was shattered, her breathing faint. I didn't know what species she was, but instinct took over. I carried her back to the wreck of my ship, sealed the breach, and used what little power I had left to warm the cabin. She stirred once, whispering words in a language I didn't understand before collapsing again. For 3 days I nursed her. She healed with unnatural speed, her body absorbing the heat from the ship's reactor coils like she was drawing life itself from energy. When she finally woke, she spoke in broken English, her voice soft but commanding. "You helped me." "Yeah," I said weakly, offering her a ration bar. "Name's Cole Varen. You were almost frozen solid." She looked at me for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she whispered, "You are human?" "Last I checked." She seemed to think that over, as if the word human meant something she couldn't quite believe. Then, without warning, she reached out and touched my cheek, gently, curiously. "I thought your kind was extinct," she murmured. "But perhaps legends lie less than we think." Before I could ask what she meant, an explosion rocked the canyon. Enemy drones, Zanari scouts, had tracked the wreckage. She rose instantly, eyes blazing with light. "Stay here," she commanded. She stepped into the storm, unarmed, and what happened next was burned into my memory forever. Energy erupted from her hands like living lightning, tearing through the sky. The drones melted into slag. The snow turned to steam. When she returned, her glow fading, she looked almost human again. "You should not have found me," she said softly. "It changes everything." Before I could reply, reinforcements arrived, and in the chaos that followed, she disappeared into the storm. I thought I'd imagined her. Just another fever dream of a dying soldier. Until today. Middle, the queen of a forgotten race. Years later, I was no longer a soldier but a Federation ambassador, sent to broker peace with the newly revealed Zanari Empress. The war had ended in uneasy silence after their ruler suddenly withdrew all fleets and demanded negotiations. Her name was Queen Saravel. As our shuttle descended into her world, a gleaming capital carved into violet crystal, I couldn't shake the sense of déjà vu. The patterns in the ice, the light reflecting off the towers. It all felt familiar, like I'd walked these halls in another lifetime. A guard led me through a corridor lined with alien sculptures and banners. At the end stood a massive door of iridescent glass. "Her Majesty awaits," the guard said, bowing before opening it. And there she was. The alien queen rose from her throne like the embodiment of the cosmos. Tall, elegant, draped in light. Her silver skin shimmered, and her eyes. Those violet eyes. My breath caught in my throat. It was her. The woman I had rescued years ago. But she didn't seem to recognize me. Her expression was regal, distant. "Human envoy," she said, her voice echoing like music through the chamber. "You come seeking peace." I bowed stiffly, forcing composure. Yes, Your Majesty. On behalf of the Federation, I. She interrupted, tilting her head slightly. You have a familiar essence. My heart pounded. We've met before. She smiled faintly. Impossible. I have never left my world since my ascension. Then maybe you've forgotten, I said quietly. It was on Varlis 9. You were injured, frozen beneath the ice. I pulled you out. Her hand trembled ever so slightly. The entire court fell silent. Then she dismissed her guards with a gesture. They obeyed without question. When the room emptied, she stepped down from her throne, studying me as if trying to see through time itself. Her voice softened. You carried me. I remember warmth. Yes, I said. You nearly died. She took another step forward, and I could see the conflict in her face. The flicker of recognition, the flood of emotion she couldn't conceal. You were real, she whispered. I thought perhaps I dreamed you. I've thought the same thing for years. A small laugh escaped her lips, shaky and human in a way that felt almost impossible. I never knew your name. Cole, I said. Cole, she repeated softly, as if tasting the word. In our legends, there is a story of a being of flesh and heat who brought life to the coldest world. My people thought it was symbolic. But it was you. I'm no legend, I said. Just a man who did what anyone would have done. She shook her head. No, you don't understand. My people, we do not save outsiders. We survive. Yet you, an alien, gave me life. And when I awoke, I felt something that terrified me. What was that? Gratitude, she said. And something else I had no word for. She looked away then, her composure breaking. When I returned home, I was told that humans were long gone. Extinct. I convinced myself that what happened on Varlis 9 was a dream. But you're here. I stepped closer, my voice low. And now? Her gaze lifted, shimmering with unshed tears. Now I remember everything. Middle part 2. The storm between worlds. Over the following days, negotiations continued. To the outside world, we were simply two leaders bridging the gap between species. But behind closed doors, memories resurfaced like ghosts. She showed me the gardens of her palace, crystalline flora that glowed in the dark, each petal humming faintly with energy. She explained how her species evolved to feed on light itself, how emotions could alter their radiance. Your presence, it changes my color, she confessed one evening as we stood beneath twin moons. Her skin glowed faintly pink. Smiled. Pink suits you. She laughed, an unguarded musical sound. Careful, human. Compliments from your kind are dangerous. Our emotions shape matter. Is that a threat? It's a warning, she said softly, stepping closer. If I feel too much, the palace might collapse. But there was no fear in her tone, only warmth. We spoke for hours that night about humanity's fall and survival, about loneliness, about the things both species lost in the war. She confessed that her ascension to queen had been forced upon her after the previous ruler's death. She had become a symbol, strong, untouchable, divine. But I never forgot the warmth, she said. The feeling of being held, not as a queen, but as someone who was worth saving. I wanted to reach out to hold her again. But I didn't. Not yet. Because peace hung by a thread, and both our worlds were watching. Ending the memory and the promise. On the final day of the summit, a crisis erupted. A faction of Zanari warlords, those who despised humans, stormed the palace, denouncing the queen for her weakness. They called her unfit to rule, demanding her abdication. When the first blast hit the outer wall, she stood tall and radiant, commanding her guards to defend the civilians. But as plasma fire filled the corridors, she turned to me. "Cole," she said, "leave. This is not your fight." "Like hell it isn't," I replied, grabbing a fallen rifle. "I didn't walk through a war to lose you again. We fought side by side, human grit and alien light intertwined." She unleashed radiant storms of energy while I covered her flanks, shouting orders to her soldiers. At one point, a plasma bolt struck her shoulder. She stumbled, her light flickering. Without hesitation, I caught her before she fell. Her eyes met mine. "Always the same," she whispered weakly. "You carry me again. Guess some things never change." Together, we pushed through the siege until the last rebel fell. Smoke filled the throne room. She turned to me, her face pale, blood shimmering silver. "If I die, they will remember me as their queen. But I would rather be remembered as the one you saved." I pressed a hand over her wound, shaking my head. "You're not dying on me. Not again." Her light pulsed stronger, surrounding my hands. "Then take it," she whispered. "Take my energy. It will heal me, if I can trust you." I didn't hesitate. I let the energy surge through me, burning, blinding, filling my chest with light. Her wound sealed, and when the glow faded, she was breathing steadily. She looked at me in wonder. "You shared my essence. That means I'm part of you now," I said with a grin. Her lips curved into the softest smile. "Yes, and I remember you not as a legend, not as a savior, but as mine." In the silence that followed, we stood together among the ruins, human and alien, bound by something beyond war, beyond politics, beyond species. When the suns rose over her shattered palace, the world saw the queen reborn in light, and beside her, a human glowing faintly with her same radiance. They called it a miracle, but to me it was just the moment she finally remembered.